I still remember the smell of that hospital hallway. Clean, sharp, cold. Like the building wanted to remind you it didn't care how scared you were. I was standing outside operating room 3, staring at a red light that might as well have been a warning sign for my whole life. My daughter, Emily Carter, was behind that door, 26 years old, full of energy, full of plans, the kind of person who laughed with her whole face. And now, she was in surgery, fighting for her life. The doctor had used careful words. Too careful. Complications, he said. We're doing everything we can. Everything. The kind of phrase that sounds comforting until you realize it also means we might not win. I had my hands pressed together like a prayer, but I wasn't praying. I was bargaining with the universe. I was promising things I didn't even believe in. Then my phone buzzed. I almost ignored it. My mind was split into 2 thoughts only, Emily and that door, but the buzzing wouldn't stop. I looked down and saw a message from an unknown number. No words, just an attachment. A photo. I tapped it, thinking maybe it was hospital paperwork. Maybe someone had the wrong number. Maybe it was nothing. It wasn't nothing. The photo showed a bright blue sky, white sunlight, and a yacht so big it looked like a floating mansion. And there he was, Tyler Brooks, Emily's husband, my son-in-law, sunglasses on, a drink in his hand, arm wrapped around a woman I had never seen before. Both of them smiling like the world was made just for them. At first, my brain didn't accept it. I stared like if I stared long enough, the image would change, like it would turn into a mistake. But it didn't. I zoomed in. Tyler's watch, Tyler's tattoo on his wrist, Tyler's stupid grin, and the woman, blonde, sun-kissed, leaning into him like she belonged there. My throat tightened. I looked up at the operating room door again, like it might open and explain all of this. How was he not here? Emily was under anesthesia, her life in the hands of strangers, and her husband was floating on luxury water, celebrating like he'd just won something. My phone buzzed again. Another message, same number. This time it had words. He said she won't make it. He's already moving on. My legs went weak. I leaned against the wall, feeling heat rise up the back of my neck. It wasn't just shock. It was rage. The kind of rage that doesn't scream right away. It goes quiet first. It hardens. I thought about the last time I saw Tyler. He'd kissed Emily's forehead and told her he'd handle some things and be right back. Right back. I swallowed hard, and for a moment I couldn't breathe. Then I did something that surprised even me. I smiled, not because it was funny, because in that moment, I knew one thing with absolute clarity. If Emily survived, Tyler would regret this. And if she didn't, I would make sure Tyler never enjoyed another celebration in peace again. And right then, the red light over the operating room door felt less like a warning and more like a signal, like something had just started. Let me tell you who I was before that hallway. My name is Mark Carter. I'm not a rich man. I'm not famous. I'm the kind of guy who works hard, pays his bills, and believes that if you raise your kids right, the world will meet you halfway. Emily was my pride, my only child. Her mom, my wife, Linda, passed away when Emily was 15. After that, it was just the 2 of us. I learned how to do ponytails badly, learned how to smile through grief, learned how to show up even when my heart felt like it was missing pieces. Emily grew into someone bright, a nurse of all things. She wanted to help people. She'd come home exhausted, but still talk about her patients like they mattered. Then she met Tyler. Tyler was charming in that smooth, practiced way. Good hair, confident voice, firm handshake. The type of guy who speaks like he's already decided how the conversation will end. He worked in investments, or at least that's what he said. He drove a nice car, wore expensive suits, and always seemed to know someone important. When he first met me, he called me sir and told me I had raised an amazing daughter. I wanted to believe him. Emily fell hard. She was young, hopeful, and tired of carrying so much responsibility. Tyler made her feel like life could be soft for once, like she could be taken care of. They married fast. Too fast. I remember the wedding day. Emily looked stunning. Tyler cried during the vows, and I believed those tears were real. I hugged him afterward and said, "Take care of her." He smiled and said, "Always." For a while, it seemed true. They bought a condo, went on trips, posted photos of sunsets and fancy dinners. The kind of life that looked perfect online. But I noticed little things. Emily started calling me less. When she did, she sounded distracted, like she was always choosing her words carefully. And Tyler became harder to reach. He was busy a lot. He traveled often. He'd show up to family dinners late, then leave early, always checking his phone. Then came the money talk. Emily told me Tyler wanted her to invest in his projects. She said it like she didn't want to admit she wasn't fully sure. I asked questions, but she brushed them off. "Dad, Tyler knows what he's doing," she insisted. "He's setting us up." Setting them up. I should have pushed harder. I should have demanded to see documents. I should have trusted my gut. But Emily was an adult, and I didn't want to be the father who treated his daughter like she couldn't make her own choices. Then, 2 months before the surgery, Emily called me late at night. Her voice was shaky. "Dad," she whispered, "I think something's wrong." I sat up instantly. "What's wrong, honey?" She hesitated, like someone might be listening. "I found receipts," she said. "Tyler's been spending money. A lot, and I don't know where it's going." I asked if she confronted him. She said, "He got angry," like scary angry. That word, scary, made my stomach drop. I offered to come pick her up that night. She refused. "No, he'll calm down." I needed to tell someone. The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. And I let it go, because sometimes, when you love someone, you tell yourself the easiest lie. It'll be fine. 2 months later, I was standing in that hallway, holding a photo of Tyler on a yacht, while my daughter lay unconscious behind a locked door. And suddenly, every "it'll be fine" I'd ever believed felt like a joke. Emily's surgery wasn't supposed to be life or death. That's what made it worse. It started with stomach pain. She thought it was stress. Long shifts, not enough sleep. She pushed through it like she always did. But it got worse. She lost weight. She looked pale. When I visited, I noticed she kept one hand pressed against her side, like she was holding something together. "Emily," I said, "this isn't normal." She forced a smile. "Dad, I'm fine." Then one night, she collapsed at work. Her co-workers rushed her to the ER. I got a call at 2 a.m. and drove like my life depended on it. When I arrived, Emily was curled on a bed, face tight with pain. She looked at me with watery eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered, like she'd done something wrong. I held her hand and said, "Don't talk, just breathe." Tyler wasn't there. I asked the nurse if her husband had been called. The nurse said, "We tried." He didn't answer. Emily needed emergency tests. The doctor explained she had internal complications, something that needed surgery soon, maybe that night. They didn't want to wait. I asked Emily if Tyler knew. She looked away. "I texted him," she said softly. "He said he's out of town." Out of town. I didn't like the sound of that. But in that moment, my focus was on her. They scheduled surgery for the next morning. I stayed overnight, sleeping in a stiff chair, waking every hour to check her breathing. Emily tried to stay brave. She joked about hospital food. She told me she'd be okay. But when the nurse rolled her bed toward the operating rooms, her grip tightened around my fingers. "Dad," she said, voice trembling, "don't leave." I leaned down. "I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere." She whispered, "If something happens, tell Tyler." She stopped, like she couldn't even finish the thought. I kissed her forehead. "Nothing's going to happen." But fear doesn't ask your permission. It sits in your chest anyway. And then she was gone behind those doors. I waited. Linda's old wedding ring sat on a chain around my neck, and I kept rubbing it like a lucky charm. I paced the hallway. I watched nurses walk past without looking at me. I watched other families cry. I watched a vending machine swallow someone's dollar like the universe was mocking them. Then, 2 hours in, a doctor came out. His face wasn't calm. "Mr. Carter?" he asked. I stood up so fast my knees hurt. "Yes." "How is she?" He exhaled slowly. "We ran into complications. We're continuing, but it's more serious than we thought." My mouth went dry. "Is she going to be okay?" "We're doing everything we can," he said, and disappeared back behind the doors. That's when my phone buzzed. That's when I saw Tyler on that yacht. And something in me snapped. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet break, like a bone cracking under pressure. I called Tyler immediately. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. I texted, "Where are you?" "Emily is in surgery." No reply. I wanted to throw my phone against the wall. I wanted to scream his name until he appeared. I wanted to drag him into that hallway and make him look at the door. But I couldn't leave. Not then. So I did the only thing I could do. I stared at the photo again. And I memorized it because I knew something now deep in my bones. Tyler wasn't just absent. He was choosing to be absent. And whatever he was celebrating out there, it was coming at the worst time of Emily's life. That's when the unknown number sent that second message. He said she won't make it. I felt my hands curl into fists so tight my nails dug into my palms. And I whispered to myself, "Okay, Tyler." My voice came out calm. Too calm. "Let's see how much you celebrate after the truth hits the shore." Some betrayals hit like thunder. This one hit like a slow drip. The moment I saw that yacht photo, my brain went looking for explanations, like a desperate lawyer trying to defend someone who didn't deserve it. Maybe it was old. Maybe it was someone who looked like Tyler. Maybe. Then the unknown number sent a third message. A video. I hesitated before pressing play. My fingers didn't want to know what my heart already suspected, but I pressed it anyway. The video showed Tyler in motion, laughing, music blasting, people cheering. The camera swung across the deck. There were balloons, drinks, a table full of food. Then the camera landed back on Tyler. He raised his glass, and I heard his voice, clear as day. "To freedom," he said. "Freedom." The people around him cheered. The blonde woman kissed his cheek, and Tyler smiled like he was finally out of a cage. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Freedom from what? From my daughter? From responsibility? From being a decent human being? I didn't know who sent those messages, but whoever it was, they wanted me to see everything. And then came the final message. A screenshot. Tyler texting someone. "Tyler, if she doesn't make it, the money clears fast. No more delays. Unknown contact. You sure?" "Tyler, she's in surgery. It's basically done. We celebrate tonight." My ears started ringing. I couldn't hear the hallway anymore. All I could hear was my own heartbeat pounding like a warning drum. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a plan. A cold, selfish plan with money involved. I needed air, but I didn't move. I didn't want to miss the doctor. I didn't want to be gone if Emily needed me. So I sat in a chair and stared at the wall. And for the first time in my life, I understood what people mean when they say they see red. Because my vision narrowed. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. I thought about Emily's face. Her hand squeezing mine. Her whisper, "Don't leave." And Tyler was out there, calling it freedom. I wanted to call the police. I wanted to call the news. I wanted to call everyone Tyler had ever shaken hands with and scream, "Do you know who he really is?" But I forced myself to breathe, because anger without direction burns you first. I needed control. I needed patience. I needed evidence. The unknown number finally sent one more text. No photo, no video. Just words. "I'm sorry. I couldn't keep watching. He's been cheating for months. He used her credit. He's been planning this. Check the joint account. Check his business emails. He thinks you're clueless." I stared at the message and realized something else. This wasn't random. This was someone close. Someone who knew details. Someone who had access. Maybe the blonde woman. Maybe a friend. Maybe a coworker. Maybe someone Tyler had used and tossed aside. I didn't reply. Not yet. Instead, I opened my banking app. The one Emily had helped me set up months ago because she wanted me to be modern. Emily and Tyler had a joint account. Emily had once added me as a trusted contact because Tyler traveled and she worried about emergencies. I hadn't thought about it since. Now my hands move fast. I logged in, and there it was. Large transfers, withdrawals, payments to luxury stores, yacht club fees, hotel deposits. My stomach turned. Emily's money, her savings, her hard-earned overtime hours, funding Tyler's freedom. I took screenshots of everything, every transaction, every date. Then I searched his name, and I found something worse, a life insurance policy. Emily had mentioned it once, casually. Tyler said it's smart, she told me, just in case. Just in case. The policy amount was massive, and Tyler was a beneficiary. I felt my breathing slow, not because I was calm, but because my body was preparing for war. Right then, the doctor came out again. His eyes met mine and I stood. "Mr. Carter," he said quietly, "we're still working, but she's stable for now." For now. I nodded, pretending I could think about anything other than Tyler's toast. Because in that moment, I made a promise that felt heavier than any vow Tyler had ever spoken. Tyler wanted freedom. Fine. I was going to give it to him. The kind of freedom that comes when you lose everything you thought you owned. Revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, careful, and surgical. And it starts with you sitting in a hospital chair, staring at your reflection in a dark phone screen, realizing you can't punch a liar into becoming honest. So you do something smarter. You expose him. First, I call my friend Raymond Ray Ellis. Ray's a lawyer, not flashy, not greedy. The kind who speaks slowly and listens like he's weighing every word. When he answered, I didn't waste time. "Ray," I said, voice shaking. "Emily's in surgery. Tyler is on a yacht, and I think he's been using her money." There was a pause on the line. Then Ray said, "Mark, are you sure?" "I've got receipts." I replied, "I've got screenshots. And I've got a life insurance policy with his name on it." Ray's tone changed. "Okay, don't confront him. Don't warn him. Just collect everything you can. I'll meet you at the hospital." Next, I called the hospital billing office. That might sound strange, but listen, money leaves a trail. And if Tyler was building a story, I needed to know what it was. The billing specialist told me Emily's insurance was active, but the secondary coverage, something Tyler had supposedly arranged, had missing documents. Missing, meaning Emily might be left with massive bills, meaning Tyler might run the second things got hard. I thanked the woman, asked for a printed copy of everything, and emailed it to Ray. Then I called my daughter's best friend, Jenna Morales. Jenna picked up on the first ring, already crying. "Mark, is Emily okay?" "Not yet," I said gently. "But listen, I need you to be honest with me. Has Tyler been acting strange?" There was silence, and silence answers questions better than words. "Jenna, I pressed. Tell me." She swallowed. "He's been awful, Mark. He's been disappearing. Emily cried at my place 2 weeks ago. She said Tyler was waiting for something." "Waiting for what?" "I don't know," Jenna whispered, but she was scared. I closed my eyes. "Did she say anything about another woman?" Jenna hesitated. She didn't want to believe it, but she found perfume in his car. He blamed a client. "A client? Sure." I thanked Jenna and asked her for one more thing. "If you have any messages from Emily about Tyler, screenshots, voice notes, send them to me, everything." When I hung up, I stared at the operating room door again. This time, I didn't feel helpless. I felt focused, because now I knew the shape of the enemy. Tyler wasn't just cheating. He was draining her, isolating her, and preparing to walk away clean. So I built the plan. Step 1. Protect Emily's finances. Ray said we could file an emergency motion for temporary financial protection if Emily was incapacitated, especially if I could prove misuse. Step 2. Lock down the insurance situation. If Tyler was banking on a payout, I needed to make sure the truth was documented, his absence, his behavior, his spending. Step 3. Expose him publicly but legally. No threats. No violence. Just facts. Receipts. And a moment so humiliating he would never recover socially. Step 4. Make sure Emily had choices if she woke up. If she survived, she deserved the full truth, plus a clean path to rebuild without Tyler's hands in her life. Ray arrived at the hospital with a folder and a face like stone. He sat beside me and said quietly, "Mark, this is serious." "I know," I replied. He looked at me. "Are you ready to take him down?" I didn't even blink. "I'm ready," I said, "but I'm not doing it for revenge." Ray raised an eyebrow. I leaned in, voice low. "I'm doing it because my daughter is fighting for her life, and he's acting like she's already gone." Ray nodded slowly. "Then we do this the right way." And just then, my phone buzzed again. A new message from the unknown number. "He's coming back tomorrow. He thinks you'll be grateful if he shows up." I stared at it. Then I turned to Ray. "He's coming," I said. Ray's jaw tightened. Good. Because Tyler didn't know it yet. But the moment he stepped back onto land, his party was over. Emily survived the surgery. Not fully out of danger, but alive. When the doctor finally said, "She's stable," I felt my whole body collapse with relief. I put my head in my hands and breathed like someone who'd been underwater too long. Emily was moved to the ICU. She was still unconscious, machines humming beside her, but her chest rose and fell steadily. I stood by her bed and whispered, "I'm here. I'm right here." And then, the next afternoon, Tyler showed up. He walked into the ICU waiting area like a man arriving late to a dinner party. Now a husband who'd been missing while his wife fought for her life. He wore a crisp shirt, clean shoes, hair styled perfectly. No panic, no tears, just a face carefully arranged to look worried. "Mark," he said, rushing forward, arms open like he expected a hug. I didn't move. He stopped awkwardly and cleared his throat. "I got the message." I came as fast as he could, from a yacht. I stared at him, and for a second, I wondered if he felt shame, if he could sense the storm behind my eyes. But Tyler didn't flinch. He sighed and shook his head like the world was unfair to him. "I can't believe this happened," he said softly. I kept my voice calm. "Where were you?" He blinked, then answered smoothly. "Out of town. Work trip. Work trip." Ray had warned me. Don't give him any sign. Let him talk. Let him lie. Let him build the rope he'll hang himself with socially. So I nodded slowly. Must have been important. "It was," Tyler said, swallowing. "But I dropped everything. Dropped everything." I wanted to laugh. I wanted to throw that yacht photo in his face. Instead, I said, "Emily's in the ICU. She's stable, but she's not awake." Tyler's eyes flickered, just for a moment, like he was calculating something. Then he put a hand on his chest. "Thank God," he whispered, too dramatic, too rehearsed. He looked toward the ICU doors. "Can I see her?" I nodded. "Sure." We walked down the hall, and I watched him closely. He didn't speed up. He didn't look nervous. He didn't act like he was afraid he'd lose her. He acted like he was showing up to a scene he'd already rehearsed. When we entered Emily's ICU room, Tyler paused like he needed to gather emotion. Then he stepped to her bedside and took her hand. "Baby," he whispered, "I'm here." I watched his face. No tears. No shaking. Just a performance. I leaned closer and said quietly, "Emily asked for you before they took her in." Tyler stiffened. I continued, still quiet. She said, "Tell Tyler," and she couldn't finish. Tyler swallowed hard. She said that? "Yes," I said. "What do you think she wanted to tell you?" Tyler's eyes darted away. I don't know." She was scared. He squeezed Emily's hand tighter, like touch could erase guilt. I stepped back and let him stand there, playing the devoted husband. Then he turned to me and said, "Mark, I know this is hard, but when she wakes up, we need to stay positive." Positive, like the only problem was bad vibes. I nodded again. "You're right." And that's when Ray walked in. Tyler's face tensed. "Who's that?" Ray extended a hand. "Ray Ellis, Mark's attorney." Tyler blinked fast. Attorney? For what? Ray smiled politely. For protection. Tyler's jaw tightened. Protection from who? Ray's smile didn't change. From anyone who might take advantage of Emily while she can't speak for herself. Tyler stared at Ray, then at me. His voice lowered. Mark, what is this? I leaned in, calm as ice. It's called being careful. Tyler forced a laugh. Come on. I'm her husband. Ray nodded. Yes, and that's why we're having a conversation soon. Tyler's eyes narrowed. This is ridiculous. I looked at Emily, then back at him. Ridiculous, I repeated softly, is celebrating on a yacht while your wife fights for her life. The color drained from his face. For the first time, Tyler lost control of his expression, and I knew he understood. He'd been seen. And the moment a liar realizes you have proof, that's when the Betrayal story begins. Tyler tried to recover fast. He chuckled like I'd made a crazy accusation, and he shook his head. Mark, you're emotional, he said. You're not thinking straight. Emotional. That word is what people use when they want to make your truth sound like madness. Ray stepped in gently. Tyler, we're not here to argue. We're here to document. Emily's father has concerns. Tyler's smile turned sharp. Concerns about what? That I wasn't here? I told you I was out of town. Ray nodded. We'll note that. Tyler's eyes locked on mine. Mark, what do you want? I wanted to say, I want you to feel what Emily felt. But I didn't. Instead, I said, I want the truth. Tyler's jaw clenched. You don't get to demand anything from me. And that was the moment I saw it clearly. Tyler didn't love Emily. He loved what Emily gave him. Her money, her image, her loyalty, her silence. Over the next few days, Ray moved quickly. We filed emergency paperwork to protect Emily's assets and blocked suspicious withdrawals until she could make decisions herself. We gathered statements from Jenna, Emily's co-workers, and the hospital staff who tried calling Tyler. Meanwhile, Tyler grew restless. He kept asking about the life insurance policy, acting like he was planning responsibly. He didn't know we already had copies. Then came the perfect opportunity. Tyler had a charity gala scheduled, one of those fancy events with a ballroom, tuxedos, and speeches about giving back. Tyler loved those. They made him feel important, and he insisted we attend, claiming it would help his image as a devoted husband. Ray looked at me and asked quietly, Are you ready? I thought about Emily lying unconscious, machines breathing beside her, while Tyler toasted to freedom. Yes, I said. Let's finish this. That night, I walked into the gala, wearing the only suit I owned. Ray at my side. Jenna came too, nervous but determined. Tyler was already there, smiling, shaking hands, acting like a man with nothing to hide. When he saw me, he approached quickly. Mark, he whispered sharply, why are you here? I smiled politely. You said this mattered. Tyler's smile looked glued on. Just don't cause a scene. I leaned closer. That depends on you. The gala host took the stage. Lights dimmed. People quieted. And then Tyler was invited up to speak. A respected investor, a family man, a pillar of the community. He walked to the microphone like he was born for it. Thank you, he began, voice warm. This cause means so much to me, especially now. My wife, Emily, has been in the hospital, fighting hard. The room sighed sympathetically. Some people even clapped. Tyler continued, and it reminded me that life is fragile. We must cherish what matters. He paused, letting the emotion hang. That pause was my cue. Ray nodded at me. I stepped forward. I walked right up to the side of the stage, and I lifted my phone. Tyler's eyes widened slightly. Not panic yet, just confusion. I spoke loudly enough for front rows to hear. Tyler, I said, calm and clear, since you're talking about cherishing what matters, do you want to explain this? I hit play. The yacht video. Tyler's voice filled the ballroom speakers. To freedom. The cheering from the yacht clashed horribly with the quiet ballroom. People turned. Faces shifted. Confusion spread like a wave. Tyler froze. I held up the photo next. while Emily fought for her life in surgery. I said, Tyler was celebrating on a yacht with his girlfriend. Gasps, murmurs. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." Tyler stammered, That's not what it looks like." Ray stepped forward and held up printed documents. "Here are the withdrawals from Emily's accounts." Ray said evenly, "Yacht club fees, luxury charges, hotel deposits." Tyler's mouth opened, but no words came out. Jenna stepped forward, voice shaking but strong. "And Emily told me she was scared of you," she said. "She cried in my kitchen, Tyler." The room went dead quiet. Tyler looked around, desperate, like he was searching for a friendly face. But there were none, because in that moment, Tyler's mask didn't just crack. It shattered. He grabbed the microphone, voice rising. "This is a setup. He's her father. He hates me." I took one step closer and said softly, "No, Tyler." I raised my phone again. The screenshot of his text. "If she doesn't make it, the money clears fast." Tyler went pale. His hands trembled. And then, finally, for the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. Not fear for Emily, fear for himself. And that was the moment I knew. My revenge wasn't violence. It was the truth, spoken in a room full of people who would never look at him the same way again. 2 days after the gala, Emily opened her eyes. I was sitting beside her bed, half asleep, when her fingers moved. Just a small twitch. I leaned forward instantly. "Emily?" Her eyelids fluttered. Her breathing quickened. "Dad," she whispered, voice weak like paper. Tears filled my eyes. "I'm here, sweetheart." "You're okay." She tried to speak, but her throat was dry. I helped her sip water carefully. Her eyes searched my face. "Tyler?" That name hit like a bruise. I took a slow breath. "Emily, I need to tell you something, but not all at once. You just focus on healing." Her brow furrowed, even through exhaustion. "Dad, please." So I told her, not with anger, not with dramatic speeches, just the truth. I told her Tyler wasn't there during surgery. I told her he lied. I told her we protected her money. I told her there were things, photos, videos, that proved he wasn't the man she thought he was. Emily's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't look shocked. She looked relieved, like a part of her already knew. "I thought I was crazy," she whispered. "He kept saying I was paranoid." I swallowed hard. "You weren't crazy." Her lips trembled. Did he really?" I nodded gently. "Yes." Emily closed her eyes, and one tear slid down her cheek. Not loud crying, just a silent grief. For the marriage, for the dream, for the man she wanted him to be. Then she opened her eyes again and whispered, "Thank you." I blinked. "For what?" "For not leaving," she said. "For standing up for me." I squeezed her hand. "Always." Tyler tried to contact her. At first, through messages, then through calls, then through a letter written like a movie apology. He claimed he made mistakes. He claimed he felt overwhelmed. He claimed he never meant harm. But the truth was already out. His friends stopped answering. The charity organization issued a statement. Business partners quietly backed away. And legally, Ray's work did the rest. Emily filed for divorce the moment she was strong enough to sign her name without shaking. The court process wasn't fast, but it was steady. Tyler had to explain the transfers. He had to answer questions he couldn't charm his way out of. He lost access to accounts. He lost credibility. He lost the image he loved more than any human being. And he lost Emily, the woman who once believed in him with her whole heart. A month later, Emily was home with me, recovering slowly. Some days were hard. Some nights she woke up from pain and fear. But she was alive. And every time she looked out the window with the morning sun on her face, it felt like a second chance. One evening, she sat at the kitchen table and said, "Dad?" "Yeah." She looked down at her hands. I used to think revenge was ugly. I waited, let her finish. She looked up. "But what you did wasn't ugly." I shook my head. "I didn't do it to hurt him." Emily nodded. You did it to protect me. That's the thing people don't always understand. Sometimes revenge isn't about making someone suffer. Sometimes it's about refusing to let them win. It's about taking your life back from someone who treated you like a tool. It's about putting the truth where it belongs. In the light, if there's a lesson in my story, it's this. Pay attention to what people do when you're at your weakest. That's where their real character shows. Because love doesn't disappear when things get hard. Love shows up. Love sits in hospital chairs. Love answers calls at 2 a.m. Love doesn't toast to freedom while you're fighting for breath. Emily survived. And Tyler learned something too. Not from me. Not from the law. From consequences. Because sooner or later, the truth always catches up. And when it does, no yacht is big enough to outrun it.